The sea is a place where we feel free. How much does this endless ocean, which covers 70% of the Earth's surface, affect our daily lives? This vast ocean is responsible for most of the weather and climate changes that occur on Earth. If there were no marine transport or transportation along sea routes, your and my lifestyle would be completely different today, because 90% of the goods sold around the world, such as food, clothing, vehicles, and fuel, are transported by ships. Life on Earth is born around the ocean, but even today, many unknown facts about the ocean are hidden in this ocean. 80% of the ocean floor has not yet been observed by humans. Not only that, since the early days of seafaring, there have been various rumors about strange things like mermaids, sea monsters, and magical islands. So today, we will tell you about a true mystery that has not been solved even after more than 150 years. That is the ship called Mary Celeste. We invite you to stay until the last second of this thrilling story to know all the information about the mystery of the ship called Mary Celeste. If we take the exact time of this story, it happened on December 4th, 1872. The previous month was also a time when many unique events happened in the world. Mount Vesuvius in Italy erupted. The world's first football World Cup was held in England, and a patent for milk powder was granted in this month. A week later, a meteorite hit a small village called Banbury. Meanwhile, Captain David Morehouse of the Canadian ship De Greyja is observing the situation through his telescope as usual. While doing this, he sees another ship floating in the North Atlantic Ocean. He recognizes that ship. It is the Mary Celeste, which left New York City 8 days earlier with 1,700 barrels of alcohol. This alcohol is not ordinary alcohol. This is called denatured alcohol. This alcohol contains an alcohol concentration of between 70% and 99%. It is used as a solvent, a cleaning agent, a disinfectant, and a fuel. Drinking these can cause blindness or even death. According to history, the Mary Celeste is a ship that has experienced misfortune to the fullest from the very beginning. This ship was originally registered under the name the Amazon. In 1861, its maiden voyage took place from Nova Scotia to London. Would you agree that this voyage was also unexpectedly delayed? Because when the ship was about to depart, the captain of the ship suddenly fell ill and died. Later, with a new captain, the Amazon sailed across the Atlantic Ocean, but it collided with fishing gear near the coast of Eastport, Maine. It also collided with another ship, causing the ship to sink. Somehow time passed and the year 1967 arrived. In October of this year, the Amazon was caught in a storm and reached the shore. The ship, which was very badly damaged, was abandoned by its owners. The wrecked ship was bought by several buyers and eventually became the Mary Celeste. When Captain Morehouse saw the ship, even its sails appeared to him in a very unusual way. He also knew that the Mary Celeste should have reached Italy by now. Something was clearly wrong, so Captain Morehouse decided to board the Mary Celeste and inspect it. The crew of the Dei Gracia, who boarded the ship, found nothing but emptiness. What had happened to the people on board? They found no trace of where they had gone. There was no sign of fire, violence, or conflict. Only the sails and the ropes that connected them were damaged. There are 3 openings on a ship called hatches that are used to load and unload cargo. The main hatch in the middle of the Mary Celeste deck had not been opened, but the 2 hatches on either side of the ship were open. However, since the liquor had not been touched, it was certain that this was not the work of pirates or drunkards. Although 2 to 3 feet of water filled this hole, this did not cause any danger, because the ship was not in danger of sinking. There was only one suspicious thing. That was the ship's lifeboat. All the belongings of the ship's crew were in their cabins. There was also enough food on board for about another 6 months. However, the captain's navigational equipment and several of the ship's documents were missing. The last entry in the logbook in the ship's cabin was on November 25th at 8 a.m. That is, 10 days ago. The last note on the Mary Celeste was that it had sighted Santa Maria Island, When Morehouse and the crew found the Mary Celeste, it was sailing about 750 kilometers east. 10 people on board were missing. The captain of the ship, Benjamin S. Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and 7 crew members were among them. No one was heard from after that. Briggs was a co-owner of the ship and an experienced captain. The crew of the ship was handpicked by him. They were also considered first-class sailors. Simply put, these people are not the kind of people who abandon ship without any serious reason. So what is the serious reason? How did 10 people disappear from the Mary Celeste without a trace? The world was filled with various questions in the newspapers and magazines. Before long, this mystery was brought to the Gibraltar court. After finding the Mary Celeste, Captain Morehouse brings it to Gibraltar, 1,100 kilometers away, because then he can obtain the right to salvage. What is the right to salvage? The law of salvage. It is a part of the old maritime laws. According to this, the shipping company must pay a reward proportional to the value of the ship to anyone who saves a ship or cargo in distress at sea. This is why Captain Morehouse and his crew, despite their own lives, bring the Mary Celeste to land. The Mary Celeste, which reaches Gibraltar, is seized by the relevant authorities until the case related to the right to salvage is completed. At one point in this case, they conclude that the disappearance of Captain Briggs and his crew is part of some crime. In some places on the ship's hull, there are signs of damage caused by an axe. Several dark spots are found on the ship's floor, as well as on the captain's sword. They concluded that they could be bloodstains. The Attorney General of Gibraltar believes that one night, the crew members who had drunk poisoned alcohol among the cargo of the ship killed Captain Briggs and his family and escaped using the lifeboats. However, scientific tests have revealed that this did not happen. 3 months later, the authorities decided to release the Mary Celeste. Instead of the salvage fee, Captain Morehouse and his crew received less than $8,000. This amount was much less than they had expected. Unfortunately, suspicions arose during the trial that Captain Morehouse and his crew had killed the crew of the Mary Celeste in order to obtain the compensation for the rescue. Although this was never proven, the payment of such a small compensation showed that the court had some doubts about it. However, there is another story about this incident. That is, Morehouse and Briggs were friends, and that the disappearance was a conspiracy between the two of them to obtain the compensation. Another funny story about this mystery is that Captain Briggs, who was a devout Christian, killed the other crew members in a frenzy and then committed suicide. Over the next decade, many exaggerated stories were reported about the Mary Celeste mystery. In 1883, the Los Angeles Times published an erroneous report. According to it, when the ship was found, there was no damage to its sails and dinner was even kept on the table over low heat. The logbook was also written an hour ago. The following year, Arthur Conan Doyle wrote a short story based on this Mary Celeste mystery. This author would later write the famous Sherlock Holmes novels. Although it is a fictional story, many of the facts in it are accepted as true. The fictionalization of this story makes it very difficult to explain what really happened to Captain Briggs' ship. However, it must be said that several of these explanations have been popular for years. The first is that Briggs and his crew were abducted by aliens. We believe that aliens are responsible for the amazing creations around the world, such as the pyramids. Therefore, people are more willing to accept this story. The second is that a tornado. This tornado story also provides some explanation for the water that was filling the ship. It is possible that the crew, due to the temperature fluctuations caused by this tornado, somehow saw water seeping into the ship as a risk of sinking. This may have led Captain Briggs to abandon ship. Another group of people who believe in a natural disaster say that an earthquake on the seabed may have caused a disturbance in the ship. They also believe that the smoke emitted by the damaged alcohol barrels may have caused this accident. This provides a good explanation for the caps on the 2 cargo hold holes and the fact that 9 alcohol barrels were empty. Briggs, who saw the danger of the ship exploding, may have boarded the lifeboat with his team. Of course, there are some points that cannot be resolved in this conclusion, but it is clear that being in the ship is safer than a lifeboat in the middle of the deep sea. However, the idea of the risk of this ship exploding was widely accepted at the time, because many similar incidents had been reported at the same time. Also, all 9 empty barrels on the ship were made of red oak. Compared to the white oak used to produce other barrels, this red oak is porous. This increased the possibility of alcohol leaking, but no evidence of an explosion was found on the Mary Celeste at the time. In 2006, Dr. Andrea Sella of University College London, who led an investigation into this, showed that such an explosion was clearly possible. Sella created a replica of the Mary Celeste's hold using cardboard boxes as barrels. He used butane to create the appropriate environment. Here, the alcohol fumes in the hull begin to ignite. Here, an explosion occurs without any combustion, no heat generation or ash. The excessive pressure in the hold due to this explosion may have caused the lids on the holes on both sides to come off. It is also possible that the people on the ship were evacuated due to the shock of the explosion. However, even if this incident is explained scientifically and in that way, forensic medical examiner Anne McGregor believes that there is another part of the story that we do not see. By comparing the case file, the ship's log, and the information from the contemporary ship, she concludes that Briggs's navigational instruments were not working properly, because the measurements he recorded in the log were incorrect. Briggs thought he was about 120 nautical miles west of where he had calculated. It turns out that the ship had been sailing in bad weather the night before the last log entry. The ship's pumps were damaged, so the crew would have had no way of knowing how much water was in the ship. If Briggs had decided to abandon ship at this point, thinking the ship was in danger of sinking, he would have expected to head for the Santa Maria Islands, which according to his incorrect calculations, are located very close by. One problem with all of these conclusions is that they show that Captain Briggs abandoned not only his ship, but also the ship's log. If he had suspected that the ship was sinking, he would have had plenty of time to make a note of it. Captains in the 19th century usually did not forget to make notes of such a serious matter. No one really knows what happened to the Mary Celeste, but the mysterious disappearance of the crew was a topic of conversation for a long time. After the trials in Gibraltar were over, the Mary Celeste sailed to Italy to deliver its cargo. Then when it returned to New York, rumors of murder and criminal bloodshed surrounding the ship had spread throughout the maritime world. Therefore, no one had any need to deal with the Mary Celeste after that. In any case, over time, the ship's owners had to sell the ship at a significant loss. The new owners did not make a significant profit either. In 1879, St. Helena arrived near the Gulf of St. Helena in search of medical assistance, because the captain suddenly falls ill. Like the first captain of the Mary Celeste, he also dies on the island of St. Helena. With the untimely death of 3 captains of the Mary Celeste in history, this ship begins to be known as a curse. Somehow, 6 years later, Captain John Parker, who has become a bankrupt sailor, joins a group of crooks and enters into a very fraudulent and conspiratorial investment. They fill the Mary Celeste with worthless goods and insure the ship for $30,000. This amount is about $850,000 today. They work to make the ship crash near Haiti. With this, the Mary Celeste will forever become a pile of rubble. The insurance company realizes their cunning plan. Captain Parker and his colleagues have to appear in the Boston court. Parker is convicted of intentionally causing a shipwreck. This crime is called baratry. Usually such a crime is given the death penalty. But fortunately for him, the court cannot reach a unanimous decision on this matter. Parker is finally acquitted, but his image is completely destroyed. He is left penniless and dies within 3 months. A month later, one of his companions becomes mentally ill, and another commits suicide. Somehow, this chain of events related to the Mary Celeste is unbelievable. Such a mystery after a long time of hiding, it is now buried forever at the bottom of the sea.